Okay. So, listen, I did this angle, done this twice now. Alright. I just remembered something that I had to put at the beginning of the video. Well, not towards the beginning of the video. Okay. Here we go. Alright, so this video series is inspired by a popculture.com video they did on the guy rebooked the NWO angle, and while it was pretty good, it's forgetting a few details of the situation and is leaving some key players out. So I decided to rebook the year of 2002 to 2003 from No Way Out 2002, essentially starting there, but doing a few tidy ups beginning this thing. So we do that, but I'm gonna do some stuff beforehand to set this up as far as NWO wise. Alright, instead of teasing the whole thing, right after the match that Flair has with Vince, which he lost, fair enough, we get an angle developing with him. He is distraught immediately after the loss. He's like, what? He's like, his head's down and everything. He's even interviewed after the match, getting stitched up. I think he bladed during the match. So, if I'm getting that wrong, don't worry, it's not important. The important thing is he's interviewed after the match, and Vince is asked, "Well, you lost tonight, and you don't." And the interviewer even says to him, "What?" Let's say it's Michael Cole. And Michael Cole says, "What are you going to be doing from here on out?" And he just looks at Cole and says, "Something I never thought I would do." And that's essentially how you leave it. And Michael Cole says, "What do you mean?" And he says, "You'll find out when I want you to find out." Okay, so that gives you reason to tune in the following night's Raw. I think you need something like that every time you do a pay-per-view. You need a reason to follow up on the pay-per-view, especially heading into WrestleMania. And this is like you got to set the winner. So Triple H wins the Royal Rumble as was established. The following night, Vince McMahon does the promos, and I think these were really well done. Every time before a break, or every other time before a break, they do the interview. He's drinking coffee and he's you don't know, but he's talking to someone, and I even like to think, who's he talking to? You don't know he's talking to a mirror. So that was really cool, the way they handled that, and I think it was really well handled. How he turns around and he says NWO on his chair. So you get that, and immediately following all this stuff, the following Smackdown, Ric Flair does the thing where he says, "What can you tell me how to heal it and everything," and stuff like that. And he says, "I'll give you a couple of days." And the thing is, I think these should have been done on Live Raw. I'm flipping it around. I'm doing them on Smackdown instead of Raw. So you do the thing, and you have the APA come in, and they did their thing where they were company killing bastards, blah blah blah. And that's the nicest thing you have to say about them. Everything like that. So we go. So again, it's revealed that immediately you know who's coming, the NWO and everything. And none of this reconsider bullshit. immediately we get stuff about the NWO. Hogan, Hall, and Nash. You do the following announcement has been the preceding announcement's been paid for by the New World Order, and you do those, and it's not them. It's just clips of them beating down various WCW talent that is now in WWE. It's not until the Smackdown that you start seeing them, specifically those three, because for some reason they didn't like using the WCW footage, but I'd get as much past as I could with it. Yeah, so we do all that. It happens a bit faster than what it did at the show originally. So Vince essentially is seen arriving on Heat before the show, and Michael Cole immediately goes up to him. Heat. This is the Heat before No Way Out. He says, when are the NWO arriving? And he says, well, the NWO are not arriving until the show starts. They're an hour away. That's at the beginning of Heat. So you know they're not showing up on a Heat. Apparently they debuted on Heat. No, we're debuting them on the show. And they come out as they did. They're getting out of the limo at the beginning of the show, and they're commenting, "Hey, it's been a while since we've been here, and who are you?" And we're like, Hogan and Hogan says, "Where's Mean Gene?" And Hall and Nash say, "No. Where's Todd Pettengill?" Stuff like that. And who are you, sort of thing. That's just my sense of humor. I don't know if that would come up, but and they don't come out and cut their promo until after the Tag Team Turmoil match, which is won again by the APA. So the other participants in that match were. By the way, first thing, I forgot to mention this. I cannot change the card of No Way Out. I can only change the results. So I'm going to be running through the card. I'm going to be changing a few things, going to be leaving a few things the same, but certain details are going to be changed. Scotty 2 Hotty and Albert are the first participants in the Tag Team Turmoil, as well as Christian and Lance Storm, then the Hardy Boys, then Billy and Chuck, then the Dudley Boys, and then APA. Now, Billy and Chuck were really getting over. I really thought they should have won this, but due to the fact that I'm changing the results of another match, I'm keeping this the same. Eventually, Billy and Chuck will win a match for the #1 contendership at Mania. But again, I'm not sure what I'm doing for that yet, but I may be doing something with that. But I think they would be the last team remaining. They would lose the APA simply because they're worn out. They're done. Then we have the NWO come out. They cut their promo. They walk past. They're walking past APA as they come out. Hogan's doing his thing, and then Scott Hall. They just eyeball. They eyeball the APA. Hall and Nash do. And then they come in the ring, and they're like, Vince McMahon has brought us in here, and we're gonna take over. We're gonna wreck shop. We're gonna get that old fogey Ric Flair out of here, and we're gonna put the Vince McMahon back in charge. So, yeah, that's essentially the promo they cut. They add some more to that. I think they should change their catchphrases as well, but maybe not. But yeah, we get Rob Van Dam versus Goldust. And originally, I would have wanted Goldust to go over here, because I want to re-establish some of the old guard. And Goldust is one of the ones that they did bring back, as well as Val Venus, that eventually did do really well. For some reason, they changed his name to Big Valboski, then Chief Morley, and eventually back to Val Venus. But I think overall he did that. But I would have RVD go over, because he was hot as hell at this point. It's just, again, he was surrounded by a lot of really good talent, and unfortunately, it wasn't the right time to put the big gold belt on him, but eventually we'll do something with him. Rob Van Dam versus Goldust. Rob Van Dam goes over, but after the match, I think Goldust should do some stuff. Should beat him up a little bit. Because I think Goldust needs to start getting some heat. So Goldust Goldust loses the match, but it gets some heat back at the end of the match. The WWF Tag Team Titles. Tazz and Spike Dudley versus Booker T and Test. Now, Tazz and Spike weren't going to be holding on to the belts very much longer. And I really think Booker and Test needed this win. So I'd have Booker and Test go over here. They're the new WWF Tag Team Champions. I think they had won the belts before. Oh no, they won the WCW tag belts, and then they lost them. The whole invasion bullshit. So yeah, they get the belts back. I think they were called TNT, Booker T and Test. So yeah, we put them over, and yeah, we get another mixed race tag team champions. Brass knuckles on a pole match. Okay. For the WWF Intercontinental title, William Regal versus Edge. William Regal would go over here because it's kind of his match, and yeah. Who was the European champion this time? Because that would be really interesting to determine the number one contender for the Undisputed Title Championship, with Stephanie McMahon-Helmsley as the special guest referee. So essentially, the deck is stacked against Triple H here. So, thing that would happen here: Ric Flair would announce, "Hey Steph, I am going to make sure you call this match down the middle." And she'd say, "Well, how are you going to make sure of that?" Well, there's going to be a special enforcer to make sure that you do. So I think the person to do it would probably be Jacqueline, if she was around at the time. So yeah, she would go. Hang on. So there's no women's title match or anything on this. So it'd be either Jacqueline. I think Jacqueline would probably be the one to do it, because Trish wouldn't. There's some stuff there, and I think it would be retreading water there. But if it were Jacqueline, she'd be like, well, what about the guys? They would, well, yeah. If not her, because China's not around, so because ideally that would be who I'd pick. Oh, I forgot about Rock Undertaker. Okay, well, anyway, that Intercontinental title, that number one contendership, Jacqueline is the enforcer. Triple H still goes over. Anyway, The Rock versus The Undertaker. This is badass Undertaker. The Rock would go over technically, because I don't think you can end a title match in in a double DQ. But you can probably end this match in a double DQ, and here's why. Rock's about to get the win. He's done the people's elbow and everything. Then Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hogan, they all swarm the ring, beating up both men. And even after the match, Taker's like, "What the hell? Why did they jump me?" And Vince would be like, "I don't know. Because some of the best stories I like in comics are, well, not in comics, but in certain things. You can take this from The Dark Knight Rises and Under the Red Hood. Essentially, Vince McMahon has kind of unleashed the Joker in the NWO. He's brought something in that he has no idea how to control. And this is the first thing of that. And they kind of went, well, we thought that's what you would want. You would want us to run roughshod over this company and everything. And they're like, well, yeah. No, not really. Okay. So I covered the match. Now for the main event. Again, I pointed this out when last time I tried to record this video. Jericho wasn't really part of the NWO, but he was managing to get heat. So again, Austin's... see, the thing about this is Jericho's title run was kind of really mishandled. His first run, he was kind of a slimy, underhanded champion, which is okay, but like the focus was really making him look like not really that good. And I know Jericho's like, well, I was holding 2 belts at the time and everything. Yeah, fine, Jericho, but yeah. What I would do here is have Jericho go over, but not clean. And what I mean by that is he uses underhand tactics to go over, but it's really simple stuff, and I'd much prefer that than anything else. So he goes over, he uses some sort of underhanded tactics. So yeah, we do that. Maybe well, he can't really use brass knucks, which is usually my go-to thing. So let's say he uses a steel chair, and it's behind the referee's back. The referee is distracted by Vince McMahon, okay, because he's Vince McMahon's boy at the time, and yeah, he uses a steel chair. Referee doesn't see it, so springboard moonsault after the chair shot. 1, 2, 3, because apparently no one can tap out to the walls of Jericho. So yeah, that sort of thing. Either that, or he was kind of using the stroke at the time as well, which was really interesting. They called it the breakdown. Okay, so yeah, Jericho's celebrating in the ring. Then NWO come in the ring. They beat up on Jericho. They beat up on Austin. And Vince is going, "What the hell are you guys doing? That's my guy. That's my guy." And then they look at him and they go, "He's not our guy." Hogan drops the leg on Austin, and he covers him, and he goes 1, 2, 3, because you know Hogan wants to do that. But yeah, it's kind of like, well, okay, all right. So I'm gonna have to cut the video off here, and we'll be back with the next one, which will be interesting because I want to do that one next. So see you around.